Johnathon Haggerty is my favorite kind of fighter. One who throws ludicrous strikes bordering on insulting, but who sets them up with ingenious tactics. When most start training in martial arts, they want to land the most spectacular moves all the time, but soon realize after a sparring session or two that these are just too blatant, too well telegraphed to pull off consistently. But it's like Haggerty noticed this and said, "Hold my beer, I'm gonna do them anyways," and created a bunch of highly technical and elaborate setups just so he could smash hammer elbows into competitors' faces. And not just any competitors. He's taken out some of the highest level Muay Thai fighters on the planet. Here's a great example of a ridiculous elbow from Haggerty's fight against Lasiri. Haggerty steps back into southpaw to load up a rear leg roundhouse kick. Once he's established this as a threat, he fakes a kick to draw the classic roundhouse defense, a cover block, and cross parry. The cross parry opens up Lasiri's left side, and Haggerty shears an elbow across his chin.
Disrupting the timing of Lasiri, but he's also gaining his own timing. He's able to figure out that forward pressure from Lasiri.
Setting up a certain kind of threat so that an opponent gets used to reacting to it is called conditioning. Haggerty conditions his opponents to certain strikes so that he can throw another strike to take them by surprise. He has a lot of ways to do this. Here he feints a switch kick. If he can draw a check, he's effectively locked his competitor in place, since it's hard to move around on one foot, and he could follow up based on whatever their guard defense is. A high guard can be broken through, while a long guard is open to crosses. Here's another great setup that Haggerty seems to prefer to use against southpaws. He'll condition them for a lead leg roundhouse, but next time, front kick to the face. In Muay Thai, this can actually be considered a bit of an insult. It should be clear that Haggerty is a better conditioner than Pantene Pro V. And the true power of conditioning an opponent happens when you can set up multiple different kinds of power shots off the same setups. This is known as pairing. Against Andrade, he worked off the jab, pairing different combinations. Andrade became so conditioned to shelling up to protect against the jab that Haggerty was able to simply reach out his lead hand to get him to shell up and establish a clinch, pulling his unlucky opponent into a hard body knee. A minute later, he used a variation. He jabbed, then feinted a clinch. Andrade backed up and lowered his guard, but Haggerty kept his hands in his face, hiding a lead leg roundhouse that completely discombobulated him. The fight ended shortly after. But Haggerty's greatest weapon when it comes to conditioning is his teep. That's a front kick to us 90s karate kids. In the best case scenario, his opponent will try to grab his teep, only to find out too late that the kick was never coming. Even a slight delay, a break of the opponent's rhythm for an instant, can leave Haggerty a second ahead, so he could land even if they're throwing a counter that would have otherwise worked. Now check out just how many attacks Haggerty can pair off of his teep feint. Each one requires a different defense from the opponent, so the viable threat of a teep can lead to multiple threats in the event the teep is feinted. Yes, I made a flowchart, but I really thought it would be a good way to conceptualize how you should think of setting up exchanges. In this instance, it shows how you can overwhelm opponents with options like Haggerty. I go more into all of these concepts in my new book, Build Your Fight Style, if you're interested. It's linked below. The important thing here is that the entire rest of the chart, built off feinting the teep, would not work if his actual teep was not a very big threat. There's no point in reacting to a move that doesn't hurt, and if Haggerty had a bad teep, his opponents wouldn't react to it at all when he feinted it. So why is it so effective? Haggerty's lead leg teep is built off the same principles as Tawanchai's side teep. While Haggerty stays squared up, in keeping with his style, both fighters cheat distance and start with less prep by raising their leg first and then regaining their balance with the mid-air pendulum swing, driving their hips up to regain their balance. It's like a more streamlined version of hopping in with it. The great boxer Ricardo Lopez even used the same pendulum trick with punches. The result is a smooth initiation with little to no telegraphing that catches opponents by surprise. But there's one move set up off the teep I've waited to talk about because it's the best one. This is the teep feint into a downward elbow. He glues his hands to his temple and then whirls the elbow like an overhand. Haggerty is expecting his opponent to long block to try to create distance, so he'll trap his opponent's wrist and angle his elbows over or inside of their other arm.
To elbow from Haggerty backs him up. And again the overhand elbow from the Englishman. Down one elbow, down one elbow, down one elbow. He cracked him a beauty.
This can work just as well with punches, as demonstrated in Haggerty's quick battle against the great Muay Thai champion, Nong O. Multi-time kickboxing champion and many-time guest on our channel, Gabriel Varga, said that he thinks that Thais have trouble against boxing when they get hurt because they aren't as familiar with high guards. If you're not watching his channel already, I've left a link below. It's a wealth of knowledge from an experienced champion. Now, his opinion could be controversial, but whether you agree with Gabriel or not, the difference in how Haggerty's opponents reacted to getting rocked versus how Haggerty himself reacted during his last fight when he was rocked really makes a great case for his point. Nong O's long guard was doing him no favors while Haggerty was trying to finish him. In contrast, when Haggerty got rocked by Lobo, he was able to stay reactive and able to use his high guard not only to defend, but to counter. He sent short elbows down the center line that were available right from his guard position, letting his elbows and high guard work in tandem. And he turned with his opponent's punches, sometimes chaining it right into a spinning elbow. Lobo brought out the wolf in Haggerty, and he rallied back to land a terrific and well-earned KO. That's why I love watching fighters like Haggerty. They can blend savage fighting with intelligent tactics, and this is where you find the art in martial arts. Haggerty is putting his one Muay Thai world title on the line against current kickboxing champion Superlek, the kicking machine. This will be in the US in September. I'm going to be buying tickets to be there in person if my schedule allows, and I would highly recommend catching this fight one way or another. Info link below. Also, Haggerty has a bunch of seminars online which made my job a bit too easy this time, so be sure to look those up if you're interested in his style. From the Modern Martial Artist, this has been David Christian, wishing you happy training.